Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the H.G. Wells Readathon, Readalong, going through all, in quotation marks, his not nonfiction, his fiction. We will leave the nonfiction for the most part aside. And the second reading on the list was The Man with a Nose, that was published in the Pall Gazette, February 6, 1894. Now, that's quite a gap between 1888, the April and June, the Chronic Argonauts. Now, he was not, well, he was busy during that time, and he did write a lot of material. I've got this is the 1926 Bibliography Dictionary and Subject Index for H.G. Wells. So, yes, it's out of date, but it has a lot of useful information, and it was cheap. And the information is quite useful in it. Now, in the back, they've got an appendix. It's called Appendix 1, Chronological List of Unreprinted Writings. And then note, this list combined with that of the volumes and pamphlets in order of publication will provide a guide not only to the full extent of Wells's literary activities, but to the general development of his art and ideas. Now, we've got 1887 and like Tale of 20th Century. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. And then 1888 is the Chronic Argonauts, Walcott. 1889, the Lamius. Now, that I had on the list, but I can't find a text of it anywhere. And then 1989, Entre Nous, Something Good from Birmingham, Holiday Science, the North Sea. So I'm assuming some of these are nonfiction essay types. 1890, The Lay of the Sausage Machine. I assume nonfiction as well. And Cricket, I assume nonfiction. And it just goes on. And then we come up to 1884 with a huge list of material. And again, I think a lot of it is nonfiction, but I haven't been able to find a lot of it. I don't know where it is located because they don't give the provenance or where it was published. But for the reading, that the second one was The Man with a Nose, Pall Mall Gazette, February 6, 1894. It was then reprinted in 1895, Select Conversations with an Uncle. And this was I'll just read from this year. This volume contains 12 conversations, and at the end, 2 very slight stories: A Misunderstood Artist and The Man with a Nose. And they were all printed in the Pall Mall Gazette in 1883 and 1894. The staff of which H.G. Wells joined about the end of the latter year as dramatic critic. So at the end of 1894, he was working as the critic at the Pall Mall Gazette. Now, I did not have A Misunderstood Artist on the list. Now, that, I don't have an exact date of when that was published, but it's saying 1883, so I will go with that. It is, you can find an EPUB of Select Conversations with an Uncle from 1895 on the Project Gutenberg, and I'll leave a link to that because it is interesting. Actually, some of the other stuff, it's a very short book, and it's called nonfiction, but I don't know how nonfiction it is. It seems like there's a lot of fiction in there as well. So this might be a supplementary thing to read. I have read The Misunderstood Artist, and I've skipped around in it. for the rest of it. So I might sample it and then get back to you on that with another video. But it is interesting. Even so. This, and it says here, Select Conversations with an Uncle was published a day before the Time Machine. So yes, it predates the Time Machine from 1895. We're not there yet. We have still a lot of stories to read, and the man with a nose is very short. Excuse me. It's only 4 pages at best, 5 pages in a book. And it's kind of weird. It's like, you know, the narrator sits down on a park bench in the evening at nighttime by someone who, by sounds of it, doesn't go out much because of his nose. He's got a big nose, and the color of his nose. He's very, very conscious of this, and he talks to the narrator, and the narrator talks back to him about this, saying, "Well, it's not really that bad, you know." But this is sort of really, you know, by sounds of it, driven this guy's life, or driven him almost to madness, it seems. And then he just sort of gets up and walks away. You know, we don't know anything else. It's just a very, very odd and weird story, but oddly compelling as well because of that. The other one that was written before, A Misunderstood Artist, is it's again another very short story, but it's in a train on a train carriage in the compartment, and they're talking about artistry and art, and an article that was published, and they talk about the art of cooking and things like that, and I'm assuming because like I say, I haven't read all the preliminary stuff. But I'm assuming one of the characters is the uncle of Some Conversations with an Uncle. It again is an interesting story. It's short. It's odd. You can see, like the Chronic Argonauts, that, you know, he's learning his craft in writing, but there are some brilliant little bits in all these things. Like you can sort of pick out these little gems. Excuse me, something's caught in my throat and it tickled my throat. So yeah, and there's more stuff here about the little tidbits about the Select Conversations with an Uncle. It goes into all the you know, the minutia of you know, the pagination and everything. It's you know, 8VO full scap, 8VO pages 10 plus 118, consisting of a blank leaf not reckoned in pagination, half title, oh, excuse me, and so on. It gets really detailed here, and it says issued in silver green watered silk, lettered across the back in gilt as follows, and then Select Conversations with an Uncle / and then, you know, the how it's written. And the covers are blank, top edge is gilt, other uncut, white end papers. Just a lot of interesting stuff here. Let's see here. There's something else at the top here. It's this company decoration, 1895, all with a black edged panel upon a drawing signed FHT, which is bordered by 2 black lines. I'm assuming that's decoration on the spine. It's not that clear here. But yeah, so that's the second reading of H.G. Wells. And I should have had this out yesterday, and I do apologize. I'll pop it up now as an extra video for Thursday, but I'll try to do something. If they're short pieces, maybe do something on Thursdays. And I'm trying to figure out how to go about to sort of fit everything in, because I do have that 1930 sort of biography of him, and then I've got a 1973 biography, and I've got a more recent one that's a literary biography by Adam Roberts. I've uncovered that. And then I also bought, when it came out, the Young H.G. Wells by Claire Tomlin. Claire Tomlin. Which is, I do like her writing. Her Samuel Pepys is fabulous. And I also I realized that I did have her Jane Austen biography. Others um, have been suggested to me. I'm not going to get into Jane Austen in this video, but yeah. Anyway, so that is where we're at with H.G. Wells, and I'm trying to figure out how to go about, slipping in biographical material as well as we go along, as well as little bibliographical tidbits that I glean from here. Anyway, if you've read it, what did you think of the story? As I say, it's nothing to write home about, but I'm curious to see what you thought of the story, just as it stands alone or as a precursor to everything else he wrote. I found it I found it interesting, as I say, and somewhat compelling as well, because the subject matter is just, who would have thought of writing a short little story on something like that? Well, obviously H.G. Wells did. Thank you, BookTube.